Guys, thank you so much for sticking through. Yeah, man, this is it, last chapter. Yeah, yeah, that's all I have to say, man. I don't know. We're gonna finish bio next. So, last but not least, let's go over social stratification. So, social class. So, social stratification is pretty much saying that you have a hierarchy of organized individuals. Okay, so meaning that obviously very clear meaning, right? So you have the bottom and then the top. When you have a society that functions on social stratification, you have very difficult social mobility. Okay. So class consciousness is pretty much the awareness of people in a shared position, meaning people who are being disadvantaged can come together and agree that we are being disadvantaged and we need to do something about it. Okay. And this is pretty much why we have the formation of like different social movements and unions and such, right? Because we as people know that there is an issue that we need to fix. So false consciousness is pretty much misinterpretation of one society's like social reality, but the best way to remember is thinking that everyone thinks you're right when you're actually wrong and everyone thinks you're wrong. So you think everyone thinks you're right, but everyone else thinks you're wrong. Okay? So social capital is pretty much about what your networks and what connections you have. Cultural capital is all about knowledge, skills, and education. Let's go over social mobility now. So you have upwards and downwards, meaning you can either go up or down, right? So you could either get a promotion or get a demotion. Horizontal means that nothing changes. So it's like somebody going from working at Target to working at Walmart is what we call horizontal mobility. Versus somebody who goes from being a doctor to working at Walmart is what we're going to call downward social mobility. And then somebody who goes from working at Walmart to being a doctor is what we call upward social mobility. So intergenerational is within is when that you change your timeline. So think about it like you change your family's timeline. So it's like a son gets rich and now the next generation is rich. Okay? So it's about between generations, okay? Son studies hard, son gets family rich. Versus intra is about within your generation. Okay? So you don't change your future generations, it's only within one's life. So poverty. We have absolute and relative poverty. Okay. So absolute poverty is when you were below the threshold, and I think it's about if you're under about 50% of what everyone else is making. No, relative is if you're under 50%. Absolute is if you're even under that. Okay. And very common question is which one is harder to measure. You need to know relative poverty is harder to measure than absolute poverty. And then one last thing is poverty lines don't really consider geographical differences. And last but not least, 12.2 is about epidemiology and disparities. So health disparities are pretty much influenced by race, gender, class, and your environment. Okay, second sickness is going to be worse health outcomes due to social injustices. Gender differences are such as higher mobility in men and then higher mortality in men and higher mobility in women. And then we have access to care. Access to care is affected by your socioeconomic status, your culture, your language, as well as discrimination. Okay? So, thank you guys for tuning in, and I see you guys in the next video, which is going to be biology.